So Andy, could you tell us a bit about how you got involved with Jigsaw to start with?
Well, basically my dad died when I was 3 from lung cancer, and obviously being such a young age it was difficult to really know what was going on. And a couple of years later my mum found out about Jigsaw4u through a few kind of other parents who were a bit lost, a bit unsure whether to try and get help, whether to try and deal with it ourselves. And so I went to Jigsaw4u, went through the groups, and with about 20 other children at the time, and just really started to kind of lose that sense of feeling on my own that no one else was in the same situation.
It's things that you can keep forever, and it's like a memory of something. So the person that died, it's like a memory of what they had, what they did. Like my dad's golf tie. It's to remind me of how he played golf. You can use a memory box out of any box. It doesn't have to be a shoe box. It can be anything you like. It can even be a box that your dad or mum used to use at work.
Even though I was so young, I felt it really, really helped me at the time.
Do you remember your first group? What was it like?
It was very scary. I got separated from my mum, which is the first time I had to really spoken about it all, which so obviously without my mum being there at such a young age was quite a difficult thing to do. But the adults that were there, really supportive, and you got linked up with a buddy, which basically is just an adult who takes kind of 2 or 3 of the people, and it means that you have someone specific to go to. It's not just you can try and find anyone. You have someone who you can specifically go to, and I had about a 20-year-old guy who was called Pete, who was really, really nice, and it was really nice to have just a young man to speak to instead of. There were quite a lot of women there, but sometimes just having a young man to speak to, especially when you've lost your dad, it makes it quite difficult to kind of, you don't have that male figure to speak to, so it's quite nice to have that kind of there. I think most of the volunteers at work at Jigsaw are amazing because they haven't ever experienced the situation, or some of them have, but I think quite a few of the volunteers haven't, and they come in and they're trained by Jigsaw and they kind of help people in such an amazing way that I don't think I'd be able to do it without having the experience I've had. We did kind of activities like we did salt jars, which is where you have a lot of salt and you colour it with different crayons, and a different colour salt section refers to a different memory or activity you did with that person. And obviously I was quite young and didn't have that many memories, but I had a few, and I still have that salt jar today, and it's kind of nice to look back on it and see all the memories that happened. I think my mum was more interested in getting me the help and not getting her, but actually Jigsaw helped her as well, not just me. Which is good. And since then I've obviously done the video, done a couple of conferences which have been really good, kind of just trying to get people educated in what it's like for a young child. So we went a couple of years ago to speak to some MPs, and one of them said, what could you do about the tsunami? Or something along those lines. And from that we decided to go out to Sri Lanka, and it kind of made you feel, even though I've got all these problems, like obviously not having a dad, you to put it into perspective when you see these people who are orphans and they haven't got anything else at all, they haven't got that kind of help. And while we were trying to help with kids out there, there were a couple of the adults, Anne and Charlotte, who were helping out with the professionals out there. We had little girls who drew before, during and after pictures, which are basically where you draw on 3 pieces of paper. You draw your before the tsunami, during the tsunami and after the tsunami. You can put it into any situation, which is why it's quite good. And there was one girl who decided to draw before, when it was all a nice happy family, both the parents, during the kind of chaos of tsunami, trees, trains, people everywhere just going manic, and at the end just her on her own with the sea kind of calm, but all the dead bodies in the sea, which was really, really powerful, and it kind of broke the language barrier, and it was really, really quite kind of amazing. Last year I met a Children's Commissioner, or who was the Children's Commissioner, which was really good, and I think he was really interested in trying to support Jigsaw because he saw what a good charity it was. He lost his parents when he was, I think it was about 10 or 11, or he lost one of his parents, and he always was saying how he never got to talk about it, or he never really got helped, and it was just kind of assumed that you should get on with it. And he was really impressed with the way that Jigsaw was trying to help children, just get them to kind of explore possibilities of helping themselves. And so he's really impressed with the charity, and he's come down to see a few of the children and see how he can help with that.
What would be your advice to people who are looking for someone to talk to or somewhere to go?
I would definitely say to go and try and find a charity out there. I think Jigsaw, obviously, the work that it does helps anyone. The amount of people who, even the people who don't think it does help, actually, once they've gone through the groups, they feel, even if they just have kind of like a one-to-one session with someone, they feel as though they've definitely been helped. I haven't met anyone yet who has not been helped by it. I've kind of been helping with the boys group, which is me and a volunteer have set up, which is basically the boys who have been bereaved of their dads, and I think it's quite important, although it's good that Jigsaw does this kind of, everyone can come with any sort of problem due to bereavement. It's quite nice to have that kind of specific thing, and you get some really good kind of, the feelings are so similar when you go there and you speak to the other people, and even people who have been bereaved within the last year have exactly the same kind of situations as I have now, having been bereaved for 13 years. And I think that helps a lot. Again, everyone I've seen who've gone through that have really appreciated it.
How's it different dealing with bereavement 13 years later to how it was when it first happened?
Well, I suppose for me, because I don't have a huge amount of memories of my dad, so I don't think it's quite as hard 13 years later, because I've kind of grown up having not had that father there, and so almost don't know what I've missed, which some people find odd when I say that, but that's just how I feel. But I think obviously it's been slightly easier for me, but I still find it difficult to kind of talk about it or to express the emotions that I felt, because obviously at such a young age I didn't exactly know what was going on, trying to kind of realise what was going on, what my mum was feeling. She was just trying to protect me and from knowing too much, and it's difficult sometimes, but you just kind of learn ways to deal with it.
Do you think Jigsaw4u has something to offer the family as well, rather than just the individual?
Yeah, definitely. Although it's kind of, I think, mainly helps the kids, it brings the families together in different activities, and obviously some activities you do in Jigsaw, like the balloon release, which is where you tie a piece of paper with the name of the person who's died and a message, and you've tied it to a balloon and let it go up to the skies, and the family do that together, and that's a really nice thing to do.
And in your opinion, what's the single most important thing that Jigsaw4u has done?
Kind of taught me to realise that it's all right to feel upset and it's all right to cry, which was one of the first things that Anne said to me when I was at the groups, and I've remembered that still this day, and that's one of the things I try and pass on. But I think the most important thing that Jigsaw does for you is kind of tell you to try and help other people in the same situation. Not everyone comes back to try and help, but there's definitely a kind of feeling that it's a community and a family with loads of different families within it, and you can just chat to whoever you want to.
Do you think Jigsaw4u has given you the tools to now aid other people?
I think so, yeah, because it's just helping me. I can kind of learn and how they help me, and I just pass that on. So, yeah.
What are your hopes for the future?
I want to see Jigsaw, obviously it's international now, but I want to see it kind of spread out more and help more families, because it does such an amazing job that I think people who don't have it really miss out.
How do you think other people could help Jigsaw4u?
There's fundraising, just donating money, obviously kind of get the high profile people getting involved, kind of obviously raises the profile, which then in turn gets donations coming in, or just kind of volunteering, or even just helping if you know someone who's had a bereavement, kind of learning how to deal with them, because sometimes people don't know how to deal with them, so they just kind of either stay off. There are two approaches: either stay as far away as they can, or they be too intrusive. And I think, especially with children, they want to be asked about what they want to do, whether they want to have someone to talk to, or whether they want to kind of just have everyone leave them alone. So I think that's one of the most important messages that kind of people can take, is that you've always got to ask the person what they want. It's the same in any situation in life, really.
Thanks for talking to us.
So, cheers.